Hey, what's up guys? Recently I spent a bunch of time making this dragon animation. From designing to modeling to rigging and animating, I worked a lot on this, and I'm excited to share with you my process. But one theme in this video you're going to come across a lot is that making anything requires a lot of perseverance, and that even if I make it look easy, there's always obstacles we have to push through. Before we start though, I just wanted to say, I made a tutorial about me making this dragon a few months ago, and also at the end of this video I made a quick walkthrough on how you can create on-screen 2D style VFX, because that was an important part of this animation. So I hope this video is going to inspire you, and let's get into it. Now, before I get started with anything, I needed an idea. So I had my friend whip up a sort of concept idea for how we should start this short film that we're making. Now, what he blocked out here was good, but I first wanted to have a scene where the dragon was just kind of flying around to sort of set the stage at first. And so that brings us to creating scene 1. So in a blank scene, I started to block out an idea for the animation of the dragon. And let me tell you guys, at first, it looked awful. But to be honest, what if I told you almost anything I make starts out looking awful? It's really just a natural part of the process. And from my many years of making art, I've realized that you can't just have something look bad in the beginning and say, well, I'm bad at this art thing. You have to keep working on it and you have to persevere. So that's exactly what I did. I continued, and generally, for my animations, I like to block things out on 8s at first, meaning one pose for every 8 frames, and then turn that into 4s and that into 2s, so basically just adding a midpoint every time. I use the calculate bone paths feature quite a lot, which allows you to see the path of the dragon for each frame, which is really important so that we can make sure there's an even distance between each frame. This helps it look a lot nicer. Now, it looked incredibly rough at first, but it's important to first get something down so that you can then start to improve it. Now, after a little bit of refining it, it was time to start adding in the background elements, which was also a process of it looking ugly at first and then having to refine it until it started to look good. If you haven't seen my previous video about using images as planes in Blender and how it can help you make backgrounds exactly like this a lot faster, check out my previous video because it's a guide on how to do exactly that. Anyways, for laying in the background elements, I went for a vibe where there were mountains and clouds up close, with the dragon then flying away into a sort of pass between the two mountains. Now, I started out with going for a brighter type of vibe, which I think honestly this version looked great as well. And as you can see, I also added in a bunch of god rays and things like that to make it feel even more vibrant and just actionful. Here's another important thing that I added: pine trees and branches. The reason I added these was because I wanted to make sure that the scene was framed in nicely, so adding those trees kind of helped with that. It gave the scene a nice foreground in certain areas and just added a lot of contrast as well, because you know, the clouds in the background is overall bright, so I just wanted to make sure that there was a bit of contrast. For scenes like this, it's really important to think in terms of depth, meaning we have big vibrant clouds up front, but then in the back the clouds are much more dimmed and less vibrant. And same with the mountains, they become less vibrant and fade into the background. I also added in white streaks to indicate wind, as well as some dust up front to the camera, which was a great addition because it really added to the 2D feel. From there, I just continued refining the animation more. The way the rig works in the dragon, and you guys can test this with bones, is basically by using damp tracking. So the way you can do this is just select 2 bones, hit Ctrl-Shift-C, and just use a damp track constraint, and just go up the chain of bones that you have. And then once you're done, you can decrease the influence to like 0.5 for each one of them, or even less or more, depending on what you like. And if you move or rotate the first bone now, you'll see everything kind of follows nicely. So this is kind of like what I used to deform the tail of the dragon. And so from there, I just refined the dragon movement a little bit to finish the scene out. Okay, so with that done, it was time for scene 2. And here's where it felt even more challenging. So the idea here was to have the dragon fly and then eventually have a reveal of some sort of buildings at the end, but to be honest, this was just difficult to think about and put together. I tested out some initial ideas for the background at first and making that, but it really just didn't work out into how I wanted it to be. When I tried to add the dragon into the scene, it just felt weird with the ending and the dragon flying away, and it was just hard to understand. So I then took a break to test some other methods of making the dragon come into the scene, but then also that didn't work really with this idea here of the dragon going over the castle from the side. Although to be honest, this version that I tested probably would have worked fine if I just worked on it more, but I thought even with that it would have been too bland. So I decided why not just make it more interesting, and I tested out a new idea, where the dragon flies in but dodges some towers first before going above the castle. This version was definitely harder, but I thought it would be worth it for the final result. Now listen up guys, I highly encourage you to think like this in your own work, because no matter what, there's always things that can be improved in art, and giving an attention to detail is really going to help you to make your things not your things, your art look as good as possible. So yeah, just keep that in mind, as doing that is going to help you to achieve a much greater result. So back to the animation, I kept on refining the animation part of it a little bit until I had something that was decent. But from there, I faced another big challenge, which was making the buildings that the camera would see at the end after the dragon flies away. Now, I showed you guys this earlier, but at first I blocked out this scene, which I thought might work well, but ultimately when I tried to combine it up with the animation, it just didn't fit. So I tried another variant, which was this version I made with the buildings sort of in the clouds, and I thought that doubling down on this would work best. Now, I got the idea for it from a bunch of images that I saw, and the whole thought behind it was to kind of have a building that sat on a cliff or some type of bush thing with clouds surrounding it. I actually kind of hand modeled the clouds for this and used a combination of texture painting and gradients to get it done, and from there I just worked a lot more on the scene. Alright guys, really quick, I just want to talk a little bit about my masterclass and community. So if you're someone who is trying to learn Blender, then this is my full program for learning how to make things like stylized characters, scenes, and all of this great stuff, all in one place where you can just join. And from the ground up, even if you're very, very new to Blender, you're going to be able to learn all of the skills in order to start making characters, scenes, and assets, and all of this awesome stuff. This is a class that I've put so much time into making, and that's why there's so many different courses in it. And the best thing is you guys can join for just a one-time fee and get access to both the community, where you can ask questions if you ever get stuck or need help, and you also of course get access to all of the courses which build in a ground up way, teaching you so much. Okay guys, back to working on scene 2. Now, I was starting to feel a little bit better at this point, but that all came crashing down soon because I remembered I still had to make the whole scene for when the dragon flies in, and there was just nothing there yet. Now here's the issue though, when I was making this, here was the issue though. My morale was honestly just a bit low at this point, to be totally honest with you guys. I'm only human at the end of the day, and of course I'm experienced with how to deal with these things and like facing difficulty when you're making art. But I just wanted to let you guys know about that too, because I don't want to make it seem like everything is just super easy all the time. I had to push through here. And the good thing is when you push through, you learn so many new things and it just makes you better. So when I was working on the art for this part of the scene, like how I did in scene 1, it really just wasn't turning out in the way that I wanted it to at first. And to be honest, that got me down. But there was one silver lining, which was that from messing up here, I actually learned a lot from making this first version of the scene and screwing it up. So after a little while, I just decided to completely remake everything for the scene, because I felt like that's just what I wanted to do at this point. I rebuilt from scratch, and this time instead of placing a lot of clouds everywhere, I went for a much more conservative type of scene, with less clouds which were more transparent, as well as a darker background overall and a lot of fog and God rays, stuff like that sort of taking up the scene. This helped to soften everything overall and just kind of give it a bit more depth, and with that I finally started to feel more satisfied with the art here. Of course, I also added some 2D feeling VFX on screen, which was made with shader nodes, and that helped a lot to add to the spark of the animation, I feel. And from there, with everything now in place, I was able to render the animation for the scene, of course after a lot of small tweaks and changes. Okay guys, so what I had up until this point was good, but I realized that this scene was over 10 seconds long. Now, that's not necessarily an issue of course, but I feel like it would be more retention friendly and interesting if halfway through I changed it to a sort of front view with the dragon passing by. So that's what I worked on next, and it was the same exact process. Thankfully, of course, this is 3D, so the scene didn't have to take too much extra time. Alright guys, so with that, all of the pieces were now into place, and here is what the final result was. Now of course, this is part of a much larger animation I'm working on, so stay tuned. With all of that out of the way, now as promised guys, here's a tutorial on how you can easily make 2D style VFX for your scenes. Before watching this, I recommend you watch the shaders part of my complete beginner's tutorial. Just the first few minutes of that should be enough, and yeah. Okay guys, so first thing I'm going to do is add in a plane into a blank scene, and I'm going to just go to the shader editor. I'm going to hit new to create a new material, and you can just delete the principled BSDF. What I'm then going to do is add in a noise texture. Now you want to make sure you switch it from 3D to 2D. It's just important if you want to manipulate the plane and make it curved and stuff like that. But anyways, the next thing we want to do is hit Control T to get the texture coordinate and mapping nodes on the noise texture. You can then add a map range after that, which kind of lets you just clamp the noise texture texture a bit. I encourage you to just kind of like play around with the settings here. It's really something you just have to get used to as you use the node, but the actual math behind the map range node isn't like as important. It's kind of just at this point we want to be visual about it and just make a texture that looks nice. So you can see here I'm just kind of playing with the settings a bit. What I want to do is kind of make it stretched in a horizontal direction, so you can see me here playing around with the scale of the noise texture. Now, of course, we want to be able to manipulate the plane, so if you go into edit mode, you can hit E to extrude out, or you can just hit GX, but I like using E to extrude because you can kind of make the plane curved if you want as well, so you can see here kind of like on the sides, I made the plane curved, which was important in scene 1 because, you know, the camera was kind of like rotating, so I wanted to make sure that the noise texture would cover like multiple angles when the camera rotates, if that makes sense. And you can see me here, you can even add in like more loop cuts and stuff like that to your plane to just make it more smooth. It's up to you guys. Now the next thing we want to do is animate the noise texture, so I'm going to animate the X location by doing #frame on there. If we hit play on our keyboard, or spacebar on our keyboard, you can see it's really fast, and that's not what we want. So what we can do is click on the frame, and now in a previous video I talked more about using a floor function to create stepped animation, but we're going to do that here. So what we want to do is type in floor frame divided by how choppy you want the animation to be. So if you do 4, that means that every 4 frames the noise texture will change position, and that just kind of gives it that like 2D feel. And by the way guys, make sure you remember to have the brackets on it, otherwise it won't work when you hit play. But you can see now what it's doing is it's a lot more stepped, but it's still too fast. So what we can do is just take all of this and divide it by a number like 31 or anything. The more you divide it by, the slower it's going to be. Now what I want to do is add in a mix shader, and we're going to add in a transparent BSDF and an RGB node, which is going to allow us to add the transparency. I'll plug the transparent BSDF into the first slot, which corresponds to the blacks, and the second slot will be the RGB node, which corresponds to the white areas in this mask that we made. And now you can see when we plug it in, what's going to happen is we have those black areas are transparent, and the areas that are white are whatever we set the RGB color to. And the only thing left to do now is to just kind of like add in a camera for your scene, so that's what we're going to do next. If you add in a camera, you can hit Control-Alt-Numpad 0 to place it wherever you want, and then if we rotate around the plane, you can kind of just position it to the camera angle. And yeah, that's really cool. You could also, of course, parent the plane to the camera so that whenever the camera moves, the plane will move with it. But that's up to you though. That's more important if you're kind of moving forward with your camera, but if you're moving side to side, it doesn't really matter as much. So yeah, hope that helped, guys. Okay guys, so thank you for watching, have an awesome day, and more awesome stuff is coming. Peace.